活动的各位运动员、教练员和裁判员表示热烈的欢迎，向长期以来关心支持本项赛事以及无锡经济社会发展的各位领导、各位嘉宾和广大市民朋友们表示衷心的感谢。无锡地处长江三角洲中心，拥有太湖最美丽的湖岸线。它不仅是一座历史悠久、人文荟萃的文化名城，也是一座经济繁荣、智慧灵动的活力之城，被誉为太湖明珠。近年来，无锡市委市政府坚持以习近平新时代中国特色社会主义思想为指引，全面贯彻落实国家全民健身战略和健康中国2030规划纲要，以人民健康为中心，大力实施民生共建共享战略，有力推动全民健身事业发展，促进体育与文化、旅游、健康等产业融合发展，人民健康水平和体育综合实力不断提升，打造了无锡国际马拉松赛、环太湖国际公路自行车赛等一批引领全民健身、促进体育消费、展示城市形象、有国际影响力的品牌赛事。今年是环太湖国际公路自行车赛创办的第9年，无锡作为本项赛事的创始地和启程点，始终坚持绿色、循环、低碳的办赛理念，全面展示具有太湖特色的地域文化和自然特征。赛事在国内和国际上的影响力逐年提升，受到了越来越多世界级专业运动员的青睐。我们相信，本届赛事必将充分彰显无锡这颗太湖明珠的美好形象，为我市当好全省高质量发展的标杆、示范和领跑者注入强大的动力。我们热忱期盼与江浙2省7地的同仁一道，全力为赛事提供一流的保障和服务，共同举办好这届精彩的体育赛事。衷心希望各位参赛选手能够在太湖之滨超越自我，创造佳绩，用拼搏和汗水演绎生命的无限精彩。最后，祝愿2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛圆满成功，祝各位来宾在无锡度过美好时光。谢谢大家。
下面有请江苏省体育局局长陈刚先生致辞，大家欢迎。
各位领导、各位来宾、同志们、朋友们，大家上午好。金秋10月是收获的季节，是欢庆的时刻，很高兴与大家又一次相聚在秀丽的太湖明珠无锡，共同参加南京银行2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛的开幕仪式。在此，我谨代表江苏省体育局和环太湖赛组委会，向各位领导、各位来宾、各参赛运动队和媒体朋友们表示热烈的欢迎，向长期以来支持环太湖赛的各级政府和社会各界表示衷心的感谢。江浙2省是“一带一路”与长江经济带的重要交汇点，太湖作为长三角的重要水源地，横跨2省，周边物产丰富，民生富庶，更有深厚的历史文化底蕴，自古便是繁华盛地。环太湖国际公路自行车赛立足太湖周边城市，历经8年，现已成长为一项具有较大影响力的国际赛事。本届环太湖赛历时8天，共邀请到来自世界5大洲、32个国家和地区126名运动员组成的21支 车队参赛，他们将在江浙两省10个城市和地区为广大群众献上一场精彩绝伦的体育盛宴。江苏省体育局将继续以环太湖国际公路自行车赛为平台，积极放大环太湖体育圈的辐射效应，深入推动环太湖区域城市体育、文化、旅游、生态资源的有机结合，着力促进泛环太湖区域、长三角区域体育产业的融合发展，精心打造创新、协调、绿色、开放、共享的体育新生态，为促进全民健身和全民健康深度融合，加快新时代体育强省建设进程，助力新时代江苏改革发展做出积极的贡献。真诚祝福各位运动员取得优异成绩，衷心祝愿各位朋友在未来8天在环太湖度过一段美好难忘的时光。预祝南京银行2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛圆满成功，谢谢大家。
下面有请中国自行车运动协会主席沈金康先生致辞，大家欢迎。
尊敬的李书记、陈省长、女士们、先生们，大家上午好。今天我们相聚在美丽的太湖之滨无锡，迎来了南京银行2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛的隆重开幕。在此，我谨代表中国自行车运动协会，向各位来宾、运动队、裁判员、媒体朋友们表示热烈的欢迎。向一直以来关心、支持中国自行车运动发展的朋友们表示衷心的感谢。环太湖赛历史8载，凭借其优秀的参赛车队、精细的竞赛组织、全方位的媒体宣传、充分的赛事保障，逐步打造成为国际知名的品牌赛事，得到了国内外自行车运动组织、参赛车队、新闻媒体及社会各界的广泛好评。中国自行车运动协会也将一如既往地支持环太湖赛的发展，在中国特色社会主义新时代，努力推动中国自行车运动升级转型，实现普及广、质量高、创新优、持续就的发展战略。预祝2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛圆满成功，预祝参赛运动员取得良好成绩。谢谢大家。
下面有请省委常委、无锡市委书记李小敏、江省人民政府副省长。
Hello and welcome to the 9th edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake, where the battle for the coveted orange jersey takes place against a backdrop of the picturesque lake in a race that is packed full of beautiful scenery. With Shanghai to the east, Nanjing to the west, and the Grand Canal running through the region, it's rich in heritage as the area that is the origin of Wu culture, which all sits alongside a thriving economy thanks to its cutting-edge technology. At the heart of it all, the stunning city of Wuji, whose combination of rivers, lakes and springs sees it referred to as the Garden City, making it one of the 10 key tourist destinations in China. The race itself, 808.2 kilometres, kicking off with the 5.5 kilometre prologue in Wuji. Then on to stage 1, Wuji Binhu, a circuit race. Stage 2, the most decisive stage of the race, with some climbs to be contend with. It's then 2 circuit races for stages 3 and 4. The longest stage on stage 5, it finishes up on stage 7 in Changxing. The nervous tension before the racing gets underway. Mechanics also signing on. The United Healthcare team with one of the big pre-race favourites. Jelly Belly as well, always animators of any race that they go to. So too, the Gusto squad. Burgos BH, the Spanish team, fresh off having ridden the Volta a España. Israel Cycling Academy this year, they rode the Giro d'Italia. And Wanty Group Goubert, the only team in the race that rode the Tour de France this year. Willia Trestina with the defending champion, Jacob Mareczko, also in their Jelly Belly. And the St. George Continental Cycling team for Australia, they're back at this race yet again. The man to beat, though, the rider who has won 15 stages, he's won the overall classification twice. Jacob Mareczko, can he do it again?
I hope to do well for this year. There are many stages flat. We are here with a competitive team. There are other riders same to Mosca, Fonzi that last year had me win, so there are many opportunities for the sprinter.
What makes this race unique is all the scenery here. I mean, going around Taihu Lake and then just getting to visit all these different cities. We really get to see a pretty cool cross-section of China. We brought a couple of our really good sprinters, so we'll definitely be hoping for some stage wins and looking to maybe compete for the overall classification as well.
I think the prologue we have a good chance with Dylan Kennett. He's a real good individual pursuit rider, so he's definitely one of the favourites for the prologue. So it'll be good to see what happens. It'd be good to get a good result here, like come here with good form, so I'll give it my best. We'll see what happens in there.
We have a great team here and we have a good sprinters as well, so hopefully we can be compatible with another teams and it's going to be, first and third day, whatever kind of GC days. And for sure, it's going to be like sprint days every day.
It's a bit of a climb on stage 2. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how hard that is. So I think it depends on whoever can get over that and then hold their own in the sprints.
This will be the last race, unfortunately. Sponsored by Jelly Belly. So yeah, to go out with a bang by taking the orange jersey would be a good way to do it.
And a good way to get it started is with the 5.5 kilometre opening prologue. The warm-up beforehand, all in port with such an explosive effort on an incredibly quick course. The course, it's not complicated, wide open roads, perfect surface as well, 5.5 kilometres, just a few simple corners without brakes being required, anticipated average speeds of more than 50 kilometres per hour. Amongst the early starters, Pak Hung-ung was the first rider down the ramp from the Hong Kong team to get things rolling and set the early benchmark. It was then on to the Kiwi, Dylan Kennett, who many had anticipated as the man to beat. The Kiwi, he performed brilliantly earlier on this season at the Commonwealth Games, making the transition now to the road. The team had high expectations of him as well, and he stopped the clock with a time of 6 minutes and 9 seconds, an average speed of more than 53 kilometres per hour, and that was the challenge for everybody else to try and get to. Delco Marseille, the French squad in the blue colours, not able to challenge the time of Kennett. Mareczko, though, the defending champion, a winner of 15 stages in this race. Would he be able to live up to the expectations of the Kiwi? It was a disappointing day for the Italian, finishing in 109th position, 1 minute and 2 seconds off the pace. the biggest challenge Marechko has ever faced in this race. Can he claw back those time losses? Sergei Chechkov from United Healthcare, the Romanian, fresh on the back of representing his country at the World Championships, was quick through the first checkpoint, was challenging towards the end, but it wasn't quite enough. He was just a fraction over 7 seconds off the pace of Kennett and finishing the day in third position, but well and truly within striking distance of that final orange jersey sitting on the shoulders of Kennett.
Yeah, it's been a target of mine for a few months now. And team owner, Brett, messaged me after the Commonwealth Games and he said, you know, how would you like to come and do this race? And he said, you know, I like your chances over the prologue. And yeah, and to get the job done today and to have Ben run second to me as well was really good for the team. And yeah, I'm really stoked, yeah.
Perfect start for the team with Kennett the winner, his teammate Dybel in second position, Chechkov in third at 7 seconds behind. So the scene is now set for stage one, the opening road race at Wuxi. What a beautiful place it is. It has been the host of many stages in this now the 9th edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. Before the race got underway, ceremony. The police, they play such an important role in making this race happen. They provide all the security out on course, as well as ensuring that not just the spectators are safe, but importantly that the riders are safe as well. Wuxi, combining both modern culture and plenty of history as the area that is renowned as the origins of Wu culture. An opportunity for some of the locals to show some of the dance styles in front of the riders before they make their way up onto the podium for the sign-on. For many of the riders at this moment, as they do watch on and enjoy the opening ceremony, it's a chance to try and settle a few of the nerves on the back of the time trial yesterday, the prologue. It's a different scenario come the road race when they're rubbing shoulders looking for the sprint finish. For many of the riders on the race, and including those of us following the race, we've had the past 3 days here in Wuxi, being able to enjoy the local culture, the proud locals as well, with one of the local officials also giving a speech before the stage got underway. No doubt looking forward to seeing the race get started with some of the world's best cyclists.
Wuxi 历史传承悠久。
Wuxi is a city with a rich history, beautiful natural scenery and booming economics. Charming place for visitors and the local residents as well. And it's a place where the locals put a priority on health and sport. The Tour of Taihu Lake was founded in 2010 by the Binhu district of Wuxi. And the goal was to build a race both on the national scale and a world scale. And the overall impact has certainly increased as the races continue to grow to now become renowned as one of the most important sporting events in the area.
假日体育圈的重大赛事。
世界各地的赛事让人们了解。
The sign-on before the race gets underway, Jelly Belly with the blue jersey sitting on the shoulders of Cormac McGough. He is the best young rider in this race. That's for men under the age of 25. He was 17 seconds off the pace yesterday of this man, Dylan Kennett, the Kiwi.
So it was my specialty. So they try because there is a flat stage. And we see in the circuit that if there is some wind maybe.
Oh yeah, that's the plan, to keep the jersey, but there are going to be mountain stages and many challenging stages upcoming. So I hope I can keep the jersey.
Yeah, just keep Serge up there for the GC. Also, Carlos was 3rd overall last year. He's just off the mark. So, like myself and Serge and. I mean, we're all looking to see if we can keep moving up, watch for those bonus sprints, and put guys up in the road and put some pressure on everybody.
Yeah, certainly motivated to keep it going till Sunday. You know, you can't really predict much or make too much of a plan, but you know, we'll just see what we can make of it and hopefully defend the jersey all the way to Sunday.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to wake up and you have the leader's jersey. Just try hang on to it as long as we can, I guess.
Let's now take a look at the course for the opening road stage. It's 85 kilometres. The start-finish line are only a matter of 100 or so metres away from each other. Two of the key points on the stage, the first intermediate sprint, that's with 46.9 kilometres to go. The second intermediate sprint, that's with 22.9 kilometres still to race. There are time bonuses at both of those, 3, 2 and 1, and there are also time bonuses at the stage finish. 10 seconds for the stage victory. Final nervous moments. The gun goes to get the race underway. The green jersey that you noted at the front of the peloton, that is Ben Dybel. He's one of the teammates of Dylan Kennett. Dybel was second on the stage yesterday, so he wears the green jersey as a leader of the points classification. Classification that doesn't actually lead. It's Kennett who is the leader, then he has that jersey on loan. Not surprisingly, as soon as we get underway, it's Beijing XDS, the first team to go on the attack. And there are a bunch of the smaller Asian teams to get an opportunity to race against some of the biggest teams in the world. And the first rider to go off the front, this is Daohu Li, the 22-year-old from China in his first season with this team. He's yet to get himself a victory in his professional career, but this certainly is a good start. Plenty of colour on the side of the road, lots of spectators out early to see the race get underway. It's a good start for the Beijing team, a team that was also got a couple of riders on the team with some experience, one from the Ukraine, a former Ukraine national time trial champion, in fact, also the current national time trial champion, Kononenko. He will be the captain on the road for this squad, and they're showing themselves straight away as being very much on the front foot, forcing the initiative. For Lee, he'll be looking for some company. If he searches across the shoulder, he'll see that there's a quick reaction coming from that main peloton. It won't take long for Lee to be reeled back in. Jelly Belly look like the colours at the front of that main field. You can also see the bright fluoro colours. That's the team of Willia Trestina. That's the team of Jakub Marechko, who had a disappointing performance yesterday, certainly by his standards. Finished in 109th position at 1 minute and 2 seconds off the pace, so he has a lot of work to do. Also up towards the front, you see the white colours with the black and red helmet. That's the Burgos BH team. That's a team with one of the favourites for today's stage, Danny Lopez, who's stage winner this year in the Tour of Qinghai Lake. This is the former American national champion now, Eric Marcot's going forward. UHC hasn't taken them long, has it, to get on the front foot. Chiropractor by trade, Marcot, and bending some backs at this point. Monkasan is the rider that you see in the fluoro colours. He's a stagiaire with the Willia Trestina team, so an opportunity for him to try and impress and look to get a contract for next season. Making their way alongside the lake, which is in the heart of Wuxi, one of the most popular tourist destinations here in Wuxi. Burgos BH also aggressive early. Race at this point still pretty much all together, but we have seen plenty of action early, and not only some of the smaller teams that are trying to impress, but the bigger teams are also very much on the front foot. We've already seen an attack from the former American national champion, Eric Marcot from United Healthcare, a team with one of the big favourites for today's stage, the Colombian sprinter Carlos Alzate, who was third overall in this race last year. This is Marcot at the front. He won't mind me saying this. He is the oldest rider in the race at 38 years of age. He did stay before the stage got underway. They have a best young rider jersey. Why can't they have a best old rider jersey? He was saying that facetiously, very much tongue-in-cheek. But with this being such a short stage, just 85 kilometres, we can expect a very aggressive day's racing. More attacks now trying to get themselves off the fronts. Interesting challenge this for the St. George team of Dylan Kennett, the race leader. Which riders did they allow to go up the road? Which ones did they need to chase? And their team director, Brett Dutton, himself a former very good cyclist, a bronze medalist in fact at the Olympic Games, having spoken to him after the stage yesterday, he said they'll look to let a breakaway go if it is the right combination, and then hope that the teams with the favourite sprinters do the chasing so they can save their riders for the back end of the stage to look after Kennett in the hope that he can find his sprinting legs after an outstanding performance in the opening prologue yesterday. The lovely green colours that we'll get to experience throughout the next 7 days of racing. This is the Novo Nordisk team now at the front. Flick of the elbow. The team that all the riders on this team, they have type 1 diabetes, and they ride effectively to try and promote the cause of people with diabetes, also raise funds for research into diabetes, and raise general awareness about diabetes. And they certainly do not just make up the numbers. It is a strong team, and they've already got themselves into the early breakaway. Jelly Belly also at the front, a team that is searching for a new sponsor for next season. A squad that has been in the professional peloton now for 18 seasons. They do have the blue jersey so far at the moment with the best young rider, Cormac McGough, who we heard from just before the stage got underway. And he's pretty happy with how things started yesterday. Strong performance, just 17 seconds off the pace of Kennett. The stunning Wuji with its Ferris wheel by the lake in Wuji. The temple on the Luding Mountain as well, a popular destination. A strong economic region, the 100-meter fountain as well, and Beijing City itself. A beautiful part of the country to the east of Shanghai. Early stages of stage 1 in the Tour of Taihu Lake, the 9th edition of the race. The current race leader in the general classification, that is Dylan Kennett, getting the win yesterday ahead of his teammate Ben Dybel. Dybel just a matter of 3 seconds off the pace. It's then Sergei Techkov who sits in 3rd position in the overall standings at 7 seconds behind. Ben Wolf of Jelly Belly is then in 4th position at 8 seconds, followed by Alexander Cadaford of the United Healthcare team. He's in at 5th spot at 10 seconds off the pace. So both St. George and also United Healthcare riding very strongly yesterday with 2 riders inside the top 5 on the stage. And this is a significant move. This is Techkov at number 65 in the blue colours, the former Romanian national champion, very early on the front foot. And this, no doubt, will catch the attention of everyone in the race. Ziga Rucigaj is the rider who is with him from the Gusto team, one of the Slovenians in the race. But Techkov, 3rd on the stage yesterday, one of the pre-race favourites for the general classification. Any moves by the Romanian will certainly force the teammates of the race leader, Dylan Kennett, to do the chasing. 74 kilometres still to race. And this, going off the front, is one of the riders from the Qinghai Tianzhuo team. And on this occasion, it's Wang, who got off to a pretty good start yesterday. Wang finishing at just 48 seconds off the pace. And you can see by the way the hips are rocking and rolling in the saddle. This is a full gas effort by Wang to try and bridge across to those 2 leaders. Based on his solid ride yesterday in the opening prologue, he'd be pretty good company to have out in front, but with just a small advantage for the 2 leaders, it's not a point in the stage just as yet where they can afford to wait for anybody to build up their stocks at the head of the peloton. As for the team doing the chasing, you see the pink colours already at the front for the St. George team. Nice support on the side of the road. Techkov already, he's prepared to do all the pacemaking at this point to try and force the advantage. Quick check across the shoulder as well to see whether they are making any headway on that peloton. Huge amount of power, the Romanian. He proved that yesterday with a brilliant performance against the clock. He's had a pretty good season as well. Earlier on this year, he was the winner of the Tour of Korea. He then went across to Canada, where he finished in 3rd position in the Tour de Beauce. And most significantly, in terms of his form coming into this race, he finished in 2nd place overall at the Colorado Classic. Also, an important victory for Techkov this year. He went out the winner of the Tour of Romania. See the blue colours down towards the back of the peloton. That was Choi from the Hong Kong cycling team. His teammates, Wan Yan Lu, he went out the winner of the best Chinese rider yesterday, so he wears the red jersey in the race. Small counter-attack has already been brought back to heel. That's Wang that gets reabsorbed by the peloton. The green jersey now coming to the front. This is Ben Dybel, one of the most experienced men on the team. There's Kennett. He wears the orange jersey. Kennett is a rider that is just learning the ropes on the road. He's got a good reputation on the track, a medalist this year at the Commonwealth Games in the individual pursuits. He rode a time of 4 minutes and 13 seconds for the 4 kilometres. Puts him amongst the top 10 in the world in that discipline. St George team, they're pretty keen to recruit him to see where they could develop him and make that transition from the track to the road, and so far the progress for Kennett has been good. Leading group of 2. Ziga it is that's riding through to the front. Techkov sits at the back. An opportunity for him to try and assess how much of an advantage they've been able to build up. Well, it makes it pretty clear for the UHC team that Techkov is not the protected sprinter. Hearing from the American national champion, the former national champion, Markov, before the stage got underway, they certainly spoke about their Colombian sprinter, Carlos Alzate, as the man that they'll be protecting in the sprint finish. Sets the tone early for how aggressive this race is going to be. With it being a pretty short stage at just 85 kilometres, you can see both the riders, they have 2 biddens on their bike. Feeding doesn't start until 50 kilometres have been covered on the stage. They have to go back to the team cars to be able to get bottles or water, or obviously any assistance for mechanical problems. There's no feed zone on the road because the stage is so short. So all the riders, they should be able to carry all the food and drink that they need throughout the stage. Peloton now already strung out in single file, and this tells the story as to how seriously the St George team are taking this breakaway with Techkov at the front. Getting themselves organised quickly. Techkov once again going to the front. Ziga Ruciga of Slovenia is the rider that is in the breakaway with him, the 22-year-old who's in just his 2nd season with the Ljubljana Gusto team. He's yet to win a race in his professional career, but he's going about it the right way. This is one of the main highways, the Bay Highway. Beautiful stretch of road for racing on. And the roads yesterday in Muji for the opening prologue across 5.5 kilometres, they certainly were conducive to fast speeds. Incidentally, the average speed for the stage winner yesterday, Kennett, was 53 kilometres per hour. It was extremely fast. And we can expect some really high average speeds on the stage today as well. Anticipated fastest average speed for today's stage, 48 kilometres per hour. And given the way they've started the stage, they will be pretty close to that mark. This is Morgan Smith early on the front, powerful Kiwi riding for this team. Rode strongly in this race last year when he finished in 6th position in the general classification. Dybel, who you can see in the green jersey, he was told a month out of this race by the team manager, Brett Dutton, get yourself in a position where you can finish inside the top 10 in the opening prologue, and then we'll look to see whether you can post a good performance in the general classification. For a man who is so lightly built, really a pure climber, he rode out of his skin yesterday. The best time trial of his career, finishing in 2nd position, just 3 seconds off the pace of Kennett, and he has very much laid the foundation to be able to challenge for overall honours. That was Tom Hubbard, who you saw at the front of the peloton on that occasion. Another one of the Kiwis on the team. Strong time trialist as well. One of the more experienced riders on that team at 27 years of age. Just a handful of seconds, still the advantage for the 2 leaders. Techkov in blue has caused the big reaction. This is Ziga Ruciga. Also on that team is Ziga German, the 20-year-old Slovenian. He was a stage winner earlier on this year at the Tour of Taihu. He was also the winner of the Under-23 Ghent-Wevelgem. And he's a rider that team believes can challenge for the stage victory today. Ziga German, he got off to a pretty good start yesterday. He finished at 33 seconds off the pace of Kennett. Well, no need for a time split at this point. Techkov, if he dares to look across his shoulder, he'll see the pink colours of the St. George Continental Cycling Team breathing down his neck. This is not the sort of breakaway that they can afford to let go. As I mentioned a moment ago, speaking with Dutton yesterday after the stage, he said he was hoping that early on the stage today they can let a breakaway go up the road, force some of the other teams with the big sprinters to do the chasing. But with United Healthcare represented at the front, the man who was third on the stage yesterday, it's not a move where they can sit back and challenge in a game of chicken to somebody else to do the chasing. Rightly so, they've taken responsibility for protecting the much coveted orange jersey. Orange jersey for the race leader, blue jersey for the best young rider, green jersey for the points classification, and red jersey for the leading Chinese rider in the race. See the blue colours just peering off to the left-hand side of the screen there momentarily. Again, it is the United Healthcare team on the attack. They've already got Techkov off the front. He has not been brought back into the fold as yet, but they are very much on the front foot. This is a very aggressive start. Small fall at the rear of the peloton. Let's hope that there's not too much damage done. But for the rider involved in that fall, has managed to get himself quickly back into the convoy of cars. So that's a good opportunity to be able to reintegrate with the main field. And the Israel Cycling Academy team also responding to this attack. This is one of the strongest teams in the race. There are 3 teams in the race that have ridden one of the 3 big Grand Tours so far this year. And the Israel Cycling Academy, they were one of the teams that rode the Giro d'Italia this season. This is now Alexander Cataford, the Canadian, at the front. He swings off. The peloton now is all very much back together. And just like Techkov, Cataford is not one of the riders that St. George can afford to go up the road. He was 5th on the stage yesterday, just 10 seconds off the pace. St. George team with a real challenge on their hands to be able to defend that orange jersey of Kennett's. Time bonuses in this race all important. Marechko, who has been the dominant figure in the 9-year history of the Tour of Taihu Lake, he's won 15 stages throughout his career in this race. He's won it overall twice, the first time in 2015, the second time last year, but he's never had to come from as far back as he will if he's to do it again this year. He starts today 1 minute and 2 seconds behind. Here's one of his teammates that you can see in the front, the fluoro colours of Willia Trestina. This is Bonifacio now at the front for the Vini Fantini Nippo team. The team that is a mix of Italian and Japanese riders. One of the young riders that they do have on their team, Hayato Okamoto, he's on stagiaire, so he's basically an apprentice trying to get a start with that team. And he's got some good sprinting form. Eritreans now, the next team to go on the attack. They had a couple of problems yesterday, the Eritrean team. One of their strong riders, unfortunately, Michael Habtom, missed the start of the stage by more than 4 minutes. Ended up finishing in last position on the stage, but that's no reflection as to how strong he is. Mebreton is the rider from Eritrea now who is trying to attack. This is one of the beautiful museums in the town with the history in there captured of the Wu culture. Halu City, the county of Wu, which dates back to 300 BC. And the museum on the outside certainly reflects the combination of both modern technology and also the great history and heritage of this region. Mebreton off the front on his own, but only momentarily. Surely there'll be company to join him fairly quickly. The telltale signs with the look across the shoulder. More attacks desperately trying to get off the fronts. And always those blue colours of United Healthcare marking the moves at the head of the peloton. great scenes of any bike race around the world. Another capturing of some of the great heritage here in Wuxi. This is what remains of the old city wall of Heilu City. It was an old military fortress. This is Moncasan in the fluoro colours up towards the front. Getting one of his first opportunities to ride with one of the bigger Italian teams, the Willia Tristina squad. Now it's the Jelly Belly team trying to slip off the front. That's Taylor Sheldon that is making the move. Good to see the Eritrean national team, the yellow colours with the red helmets on that you can see on the right-hand side of the road. Good to see their national team here at this race. They're certainly one of the nations out of Africa who've been making a big impact on racing in Europe, including their current national champion, Mahawi Kudos. A couple of the Eritreans that rode the Volta a España this year certainly performed well. Gabra Zabier, another one of the Eritreans that rode that race this year. Sheldon searching for company, and he is about to find it. Still 18 kilometres before they reach the first of the intermediate sprints. Time bonus at the intermediate sprints, 3 seconds for the win, 2 seconds for second place, 1 second for third place. There are 2 intermediate sprints. Then at the stage finish, 10 seconds for the win, 6 for second place, 4 seconds for third place. In a race that really does favour the sprinters, that can be the difference in the battle for the much coveted orange jersey at the end of the race.
Putain, il arrête pas de faire des zigzags, le mec. Il peut pas prendre les numéros de l'autre côté.
Not for a lack of trying, no breakaway yet really firmly being established. Sergei Techkov, who was third on the stage yesterday, he's been the rider that has managed to force the biggest breakaway that we've seen so far, but that only lasted for a matter of around about 5 kilometres before the St. George Continental Cycling team closed it down. And once again, the men of the pink colours find themselves in the defensive position at the front of the peloton because there's a strong group forming at the head of the race. Novo Nordisk, once again, flick of the elbow. This is Sam Brand, who is at the front. Sheldon now riding through for Jelly Belly. This is a more dangerous looking group. It's a cohesive group, 5 riders at the front, causing more reactions to come from behind. Giant cycling team down at the back of the peloton. This is Gu, number 132. Number 141, who you can see in the white colours, that is the Ukrainian national champion, Polivodova. And he will just be saving himself for the prospect of a sprint finish. Quick finisher, and he's had plenty of success in the past here in China. Eritrean rider now coming through to the front. This is Habdi Michael, who's rolling through. Rode this race last year when he finished in 20th position in the overall standings. And Habdi Michael now being called to roll back through on the other side. Just an indication perhaps of a change of the wind direction to make sure they're as efficient as they can possibly be. This is Sheldon once again for the Jelly Belly team. And Catty Ford rolling through in the blue colours of United Healthcare. That will cause a reaction. Grozelj is the rider who is here for Lubla Jean Gusto. Number 3 Slovenians on this race. Or on that team, I should say more specifically. This is Sam Brand. Grozelj now rolling through. Catty Ford, 10 seconds away from the leader's jersey. Habdi Michael now also driving through to the front for Eritrea. But Caddy Ford doesn't want to get him over the front just as yet. He's doing all he can to be able to try and drive this break open. But it's just a handful of seconds that they're still being able to hold ahead of the peloton with the Israeli Cycling Academy, the colours that are at the front of the main field. This is the Grand Buddha at Lingshan Mountain that we're getting a chance to be able to enjoy. And there's also the fountain that comes up out of the lotus of the growing child. Fan Palace is also located here near the Buddha itself, and both the beautiful white building and the red and white building are part of the Fan Palace. A beautiful destination for the tourists and also the locals. Stage 1, a little over 20 kilometres having been covered so far. This is the Wuji Binhu circuit. 85 kilometres today's stage in total, 2 intermediate sprints. There's been multiple attempts for breakaways to get formed, just on 60 kilometres still to race. They're 14 Ks away from the first of those intermediate sprints. The man in this breakaway in the blue colours from United Healthcare, he is the biggest threat in terms of the general classification, and it's with Caddy Ford in this move that is causing the big reaction to come from that main peloton. Is super motivated to try and poach the time bonus at the first of the intermediate sprints. Canadian, he rides with some good form, recently finishing in second position in the general classification at the Colorado Classic. Brand is just asking for 2 minutes. He was having that conversation with Caddy Ford, just give me 2 minutes, I've only just managed to bridge across. And you can hear the communication between them. This is Weehu Lake, just off to the side of the race. And not far away from the start-finish line either. Peloton charging along, doing speeds of 50+ kilometres per hour, the earlier going on stage 1. Not a particularly windy day either, which will be to the dislike of some of the stronger teams. They were hoping that the wind might pick up and give them an opportunity to perhaps cause a few splits, force a couple of echelons, but that so far has not proven to be the case. Interesting position this for the riders in the pink and blue colours from St. George. Find themselves trying to defend the orange jersey of Kennett. Dybel, the man behind him in green. Dybel's a former Australian under-23 road champion. Incidentally, in December, he took a Strava record of none other than Chris Froome up near Mount Kosciuszko on a climb known as the Col de Boloka. This is Kennett's. With the speed that he showed yesterday, he's not a pure sprinter, Kennett, but he certainly has got loads of horsepower. He'll be a chance. Israel Cycling Academy. The second last rider from that squad is the man to watch in the sprint. That is Edwin Alvila. The rider that you can see with the blue shoes and the white socks in the blue colours of the United Healthcare team, that's Carlos Alzate, and he's the rider that Marcotte spoke about before the start of the stage as their protected sprinter. They've been putting riders in the breakaway so far. They've had 3 small breakaways, 3 riders from United Healthcare represented on each occasion, but Alzate not part of it, saving his legs for the sprint finish. If indeed it does come down to that, because this breakaway is making good work of it out in front. Sheldon with the flick of the elbow. This is the double rainbow bridge now that they're making their way across. This is the narrowest part that makes its way across the Weehu Lake. One of the 2 bridges that separates the east and the west of Weehu. This bridge was opened up in 1994. In pristine condition, just like the rest of the region. An opportunity as they make that tight right-hand turn for the peloton to assess the advantage of that breakaway group. This is Morgan Smith once again on the front. And the teams already getting themselves organised. Certainly the bigger teams, the favourite teams, getting themselves well organised at the front. 58 kilometres still to race. Brand now in the dark blue colours of the Novo Nordisk team coming through to the front. True to his word, he said, give me 2 minutes to try and recuperate. Strong man to have in this breakaway. inCycle at the back of the group for the Eritrean team. Kato Ford is the rider in the blue colours, the best placed in the general classification from this group. Now in the dark blue, this is Sam Brand. You can see sitting in second last position. inCycle wisely taking the decision of spending just a little bit of time at the back as this group settles into its rhythm. Taylor Sheldon in the colours of Jelly Belly. He's the second best placed in the general classification from this breakaway. He's at just 17 seconds behind the lead of Kennett. Matic Grosjean is the rider from Ljubljana Gusto, the rider that's at the front in the black and yellow colours. A team that started out as an Australian squad and merged with the Slovenian team a couple of seasons ago, and they've combined those two cultures both on and off the road really well. They've got one of the contenders to win the sprint finish today if that breakaway does indeed get brought back to the main peloton. St. George is the team at the front doing the chasing. Just behind them is the Israel Cycling Academy. So far for them, it's working out perfectly. You can see the Grand Buddha off in the distance. But it's not so peaceful in the breakaway. The group of 5 working really well together. And now we can see the Eritrean, Daniel inCycle, making his way through to the front. Just that little bit of a reprieve at the back, just as we saw number 52 Sam Brand do when he joined the group, and then keep on contributing. inCycle, one of the riders eligible for the Best Young Rider classification. In that competition, he's just 9 seconds off the blue jersey. inCycle finished at 29 seconds behind the stage winner yesterday, but 9 seconds behind the man who currently wears that jersey, Cormac McGough. In fact, correction, make that 12 seconds behind, but still very close, within contention of that blue jersey of the Best Young Rider. Out to an advantage now of 47 seconds. Huge crowds on the side of the road, which is always good to see at any bike race. Guizhou town, the town that they're making their way through. And you can see plenty of the local police also on the side of the road who do an extraordinary job at this race, making sure both the spectators and the riders are safe. The region of Guizhou is part of the thriving Chinese economy, and it's one of the most important regions economically in terms of research into both science and into engineering. The academies, the Chinese academies of both science and engineering are based here. Hubbard now is the rider who is at the front for St. George. A lot of the conversation with the riders before the start of today's stage was actually talking about tomorrow's stage. Tomorrow's stage is a stage that any of the riders that have ridden this race in the past, they will know the course well. It was used as the final stage 1 year ago. There's one climb that they do twice, and Morgan Smith, who's been doing a lot of the pacemaking at the front, the pink colours of St. George, said that as the final stage it was really difficult. It'll be interesting to see just how aggressive it is as the second road stage of this year's edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. This is the Grand Buddha at Lingjiang Mountain. And this is part of the national park that spans over some 9,000 square metres. The size of 1.5 football fields. You can see plenty of people making their way there as well. Lots of locals see this as a great tourist destination. So too do many of the international tourists, as Wuji ranks amongst the top 10 tourist destinations in China. And when you think about the size and the rich history of the country, it's a pretty tough market to make the top 10 on. Wonderful place to have had the opportunity to visit over the past 3 days as we arrived here ahead of this race getting underway with the opening prologue yesterday. The riders, however, in the breakaway, they won't get the opportunity to be able to enjoy the wonderful scenery. Too far away either from the Grand Buddha is the child that grows out of the Lotus Fountain, and Fan Palace is also walking distance. So it's a real fantastic hub of an opportunity to come and see some of the great history in this region. Sheldon leads them around the corner in the colours of Jelly Belly. Hepty Michael just giving a little bit of distance through that corner, but no problems. Rider now going through to the front. That is Maciej Grozjelj, 22-year-old Slovenian, yet to get a win in his pro career. They get the update at 54 seconds. Cataford now winding up for the sprint. The first opportunity to get some time bonuses. The Canadian, he is on target. Shelford it is that slots himself in a second position. Cataford, the all-important 3-second time bonus here will put him within 7 seconds of the race lead. He does take the points ahead of Sheldon. So Cataford gets the points. He gets the 3-second time bonus. He's now locked in equal third place in the overall standings. This is really impressive, mature riding from Sheldon. Straight away going to the front, getting this group rolling. Another angle of the Grand Buddha as the peloton about to make their way through the intermediate sprint point. 52 seconds their deficit. Add to the fact that Cataford has just collected the first of the intermediate sprints, and he is the virtual race leader. This will be a tough chase, a difficult defence of the leader's jersey for the St. George cycling team. That's Kennett, who is the race leader, wearing the orange jersey, sitting in 4th position, followed then by Dybel in green. The Israeli cycling team, they've got themselves well positioned up towards the front of the race as well. The first of the riders from that team, that's Hamish Shurers, another one of the Kiwis in the race. Plenty of New Zealanders in the race this year. In fact, the St. George team, which hails from New South Wales, just on the outskirts of Sydney, it's a good combination of riders both from Australia and also from New Zealand. Impressive reaction from Sheldon immediately through that intermediate sprint. He's the rider from Jelly Belly in the breakaway group. Often going through an intermediate sprint, you see that slight pause. That wasn't the case Sheldon. Would have been disappointed with the second behind the man who wears number 62, Cataford. But instantaneously, Shelford went straight back onto the front. This is Brand now rolling through to the front. Had the opportunity to represent the Isle of Man at the Commonwealth Games earlier on this year on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Grozjelj in the black and yellow colours, 3rd in the intermediate sprint. This is Sheldon, just having a drink. Taylor Sheldon was 14th overall in this race last year, so he's familiar with the territory. Hepty Michael now rolling through for Eritrea, and this is the virtual race leader. United Healthcare, the stage getting off to the perfect start. They really have put St George, and everybody else for that matter, very much on the back foot. Catterford putting his team very much in the box seats. 121 riders starting the stage today, and already have been strung out in single file for almost 40 kilometres. 85 kilometres the stage, 47.2 remaining. The breakaway group of 5, an advantage of 53 seconds. There are lots of wetlands and park areas to be able to enjoy in Wuxi, and also the Helu city, the capital of the country of Wu, which goes back to 300 BC. The outside of the museum contrasting with the inside of the museum as the old meets the new, and much of that wonderful history having been captured on the inside. This is stage 1 of the 9th edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. The opening prologue, that was won by Dylan Kennett, the Kiwi who rides with the St George Continental Cycling Team. He wears the orange jersey as the overall race leader. The current situation of the race, 5 men out in front with an advantage of 55 seconds. This is Sam Brand at the front, changing the face of diabetes, riding for the Novo Nordisk team. Flick of the elbow. Grosjean now comes through, the 22-year-old Slovenian. Next in line in the white colours, that's Taylor Shelford. Sheldon, experienced American rider at 31 years of age, making sure that Jelly Belly is represented in everything throughout this race. An important race for the Jelly Belly team, a team that has been in existence for 18 seasons, and they're hoping to continue next year as they search for a new sponsor. Confirmation of the sprints results with Catterford collecting the 5 points, Sheldon the 3 points for second, and Grosjean in third place collecting the 1 point. Maybe even more important for Alexander Catterford, collecting the first place at that intermediate sprint. In addition to the points in the race for the green jersey, it also brings a 3-second time bonus in the general classification. Catterford was impressive yesterday, finishing in 5th on the stage, just 10 seconds behind Kennett. That 3-second time bonus puts him to 7 seconds behind. Factor in the gap on the road, and he has a handy overall race lead. Then you'll have inCycle, the 21-year-old Eritrean, swings off from the front, 5th in his national championships last year. Catterford is the greatest concern for the peloton being in this breakaway. Sheldon in the white and black colours. He's the rider who is second best in the overall standings from this group, starting the day at 17 seconds behind. inCycle started the day at 29 seconds behind, but he's also in contention for the blue jersey of the best young rider. You can see confirmation of the composition of the breakaway. Brand, Catterford, Sheldon, Grosjean and inCycle. And none of the riders from this breakaway can be accused of playing the role of the passenger, all working really well together. Still one more intermediate sprint to come. And then in the all-important battle for stage honours, the time bonuses there will be crucial for the general classification. Last year, the man that won the race overall for the second time, Jacob Mareczko, he managed to win 5 stages, collecting 50 seconds worth of time bonuses in the process, and was able to make up the deficit from the opening prologue. Last year he conceded just a smidgen over 40 seconds in the opening prologue. This year, 1 minute and 2 seconds behind, a disappointing 109th on the stage from 121 starters. That is a lot of ground to make up for Mareczko. Incidentally, overnight, as we rejoin the breakaway group of 5, Søren Kragh Andersen, Danish rider, he was the winner of one of the biggest races on the calendar at the back end of the season in France, Paris Tour. And he was a rider who very much got his start on the road in this race back in 2014. Søren Kragh Andersen was a second place finisher on a stage here in 2014 behind Sam Whitmitz, who went on to win the race overall. And now Song Krao Andersen, he made his first appearance at the Tour de France this year, and he's just overnight he's won Paris Tour in France, so this race yet again proving to be an important stepping stone. That was a chance to take a look back at the intermediate sprints, which happened just a few moments ago. Number 62, Alexander Cataford, was the winner of that intermediate sprint. Maximum advantage so far for this breakaway group, just 55 seconds. It's starting to be chipped away at ever so slightly. Their lead now down to 47 seconds. Not much in the way of altitude gain throughout today's stage. And the race handbook indicating that the race organisers expecting a really quick stage with an anticipated fastest average speed of 48 kilometres per hour. Brand once again at the front. He's got different shoes on in this race, Sam Brand, to what he wore at the Commonwealth Games earlier on this year. He ran a competition at the Isle of Man for a design on his shoes. He took lots of submissions from kids and also high school kids, primary school kids, and he put one of those pictures onto the back of his shoes to wear for the Isle of Man at the Commonwealth Games this year. It does look like he's got the three-legged flag also on the back of those shoes today. 104 at the front of this breakaway group, that is Taylor Sheldon. Starts today at 17 seconds down overall. The Jelly Belly team, they got themselves off to a really good start yesterday. They had Ben Wolf finish at 8 seconds behind in 4th position. And then McGough and Sheldon both at 17 seconds behind. Swerble was at 20 seconds behind, so they were very consistent, the Jelly Belly team. But their best sprinter, Ulises Castillo, the Mexican on that team, he was the worst perform yesterday at 40 seconds off the pace. Having had a chat to their sports director, Matt Rice, and also Danny Van Hout before the stage got underway, they spoke about trying to move one of the men that rode really well against the clock yesterday into the breakaway. If that doesn't work, they've got Castillo for the sprint finish. So far for Jelly Belly, things going according to plan. Habti Michael at the front for Eritrea. They had a frustrating day yesterday, the Eritrean squad. One of their riders missed the stage start, unfortunately. He did manage to eventually start the stage. That was Michael Habton, but he finished at 4 minutes and 50 seconds down. If he hadn't have missed the stage start, based on my rough calculations as to how late he was to get to the start ramp, he would have been only a matter of 30 seconds off the pace. So don't be fooled by the fact that Habton sits in last position in the general classification. He's got a lot more horsepower underneath the bonnet than that. The breakaway clicking through with 40 kilometres still to race. 47 seconds their advantage. St. George cycling team, they're not making too many inroads on this breakaway. I wonder if we'll see any chasing from Willia Tristina with the defending champion Marechko, or whether they sit back and say, hey, we've won this race often enough. Marechko's a long way off the pace. What about some others come up towards the front? Wanty Group Goubert is one of the teams that would be a candidate to do the chasing of this breakaway group of 5. Incidentally, Wanty Group Goubert, the Belgium squad, they're the only team in this race, Tour of Taihu Lake, that rode the Tour de France earlier on this year. They had a strong performance yesterday by Boris Velay. Velay finished at 12 seconds off the pace, slotting him inside the top 10 on the stage. In fact, he finished in 6th position on the stage yesterday, Boris Velay. This is Grosjean at the front in the black and yellow colours. Sheldon now rolling through.
Moto 2.
Still St. George at the front doing the chasing, not getting any support from anybody else in this stage so far. This is Matthew Zenovic now at the front, the 24-year-old Kiwi. He did ride this race last year when he finished in 9th position overall. He's also a stage winner earlier on this year and the winner of the overall classification, the Tour of Taihu in Indonesia, where the team dominated. St. George team there, they finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the overall standings. So a team that has had plenty of success so far this season in many of the Asian races. The conversation underway amongst the Israeli Cycling Academy. Hamish Schutters was the rider that you saw just with the hand signal. The rider that he's calling up to the front, that is Itamar Einhorn. He's one of the stagiaires on the team, so he's basically a trainee. And the team is looking to make the decision as to whether they recruit him on a permanent basis for the following couple of seasons or not. It's a team with one of the favourites to win the stage, Edwin Avila. Colombian sprinter, got off to a good start yesterday, finished at just 20 seconds off the pace, putting him in 15th position on the stage. Sam Brand still at the front of the breakaway group. There can be no disputing the work ethic of the 5 riders out in front. Grosjean now riding through in the black and yellow colours. A team that when they did ride the Tour of Slovenia this year, as it's a part Australian, part Slovenian team, it's registered incidentally in Slovenia. The Gusto team, they found themselves in just about every single breakaway. And Ben Hill, the Australian on that team, he was probably the most aggressive from the squad. Hill today will play a slightly different role for the team in the yellow and black colours, Ljubljana Gusto. He'll have a role to support the lead out for Ziga German, assuming, or if indeed this breakaway does get caught. 44 seconds is still their advantage. Still with one more intermediate sprint to come. And yet again, it's only the St. George Continental Cycling Team at the front doing the pacemaking. Israel Cycling Academy, the next team lining up behind them. Followed then by United Healthcare, have got their man in the breakaway. So things going perfectly for the American squad. The Chinese cuisine is one of the great attractions for tourists to come to this region, and over the past 3 days the riders and those of us working on the race have had the opportunity to enjoy it. Fish and shrimp, one of the main dishes that you do get served here. Peloton still strung out under the guidance of the St. George Cycling Team. Single file, stage 1 of the Tour of Taihu Lake. The 9th edition of the race. There's a breakaway group of 5. They're still holding on to an advantage of 45 seconds. This is the breakaway. Cataford is the man. We're number 62 from United Healthcare. Just swings off from the front. He's the strongest rider on paper from this breakaway, having finished in 5th position on the stage yesterday. And he also won the intermediate sprint. There's been one intermediate sprint so far. It was Cataford who got the win ahead of the man with the jelly beans on his back. That is Sheldon of the Jelly Belly team. The Novo Nordisk team at the front now with Sam Brand. A team that unfortunately missed out on having a couple of their riders in the race. They're a team that starts the race with just 4 riders on the squad. If this breakaway does get caught, they have a reasonably good sprinter on the team. David Lozano is a pretty quick finisher and could be one to watch at the end of the stage. Nanhubei, the village resembles Nara, Japanese-style distinctive village with that familiar architecture, and is right next to the Grand Buddha at Lingjiang. Also a region that's very famous for its blossom trees that we see throughout the spring. It really is a beautiful part of the world. It's just around about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive from Shanghai. the 121 riders in the race, they're getting no such opportunities to be able to enjoy the scenery today. They were able to do that for the first few days before the racing got underway. The race organisers doing an incredible job in terms of the accommodation that they're providing for the race. And in fact, speaking to Brett Dutton, the team manager for the St George cycling team, he said that historically that's been one of the great attractions of continuing to come back to this race, is how well they're looked after by the race organisation, the quality of the peloton, and they really do want to win this race overall. They've won quite a few of the second-tier races scattered throughout the Asian calendar so far in 2018, but this is one of the high-caliber ones. It's ranked as a 2.1 on the UCI calendar, so just a couple of steps down from what is known as the World Tour, which is the races such as the Tours of France, Italy and Spain. But this is a significant race in this part of the world. And for a rider like Sam Brand, a real opportunity to show himself at the front of the race, which is exactly what the 27-year-old is doing. Brand, it's his first season on this team. Quick conversation back to the team car. Massimo Pondenzana is the Italian sports director for that squad. This is Grosjean now out of the saddle. And their advantage, in fact, is growing ever so slightly. It's now up to 46 seconds. With the way this group is working, they would just start to get not so much confidence, but a little bit of hope about being able to upset the sprinters. The longer the other teams leave the chase, the better it is, quite obviously, for the breakaway. Sheldon now on the front for Jelly Belly. No wins yet in his career, Sheldon, the 31-year-old, but he has been close a few times. He rode strongly here in Taihu last year when he finished in 14th position in the general classification. And now that they've covered 50 kilometres, you can see the hands are going up for feed and water from the team cars. It's not particularly hot. It's only in the mid-20s, but it is quite humid. 3 kilometres to go before they hit the second of the intermediate sprints. Now, for the man in the blue colours, Cataford, that sprint can put him very much within striking distance of the orange jersey. And in fact, he already is. He currently sits at 7 seconds down in the overall standings. If he's to win the next sprint, that will put him at just 4 seconds behind. Spotted some spectators on the side of the road, so he's thrown the bidon off to them. And now instructions from the team car. Sports director Sebastian Alexander giving a little bit of assistance to Cataford. Grosjean, the classic picture of concentration on the fronts. The expression of a man who's trying to make it look as if it doesn't hurt, when in fact it really does. Heart rate won't be quite as high as what they experienced yesterday in the opening prologue, which was such a short stage of just 5.5 kilometres, but it will be getting close towards that top end of the threshold in towards the red zone. Morgan Smith once again on the front. The wind is coming from Morgan's right-hand side. That's why he's so tight to the left-hand gutter. With it going across him in that angle, he's leaving just enough room for all of his teammates to take shelter. And then the others that are behind him, they've got to create their own slipstream for their teammates, and just forces those that have been the passengers behind the St George team to spend a little bit more energy. That's the theory behind it, but there's not a whole lot of wind really. Certainly not here at the finish line. Back on board with Daniel Habdi-Michael. And the gap is dangerously out to 1 minute and 7 seconds. From a little bit of hope, they will be starting to get optimistic. Another chance to take a look at the Grand Buddha. Lingshan Mountain. It sits just not quite at the base of it, not at the top of it, around about halfway up. Creating a peaceful atmosphere at the Tour of Taihu Lake. The scenery really is stunning. My first opportunity to be able to cover this race, and it has been a stunning opening day with the prologue yesterday. Quick stage today, the opening road stage. Total race distance is 802.8 kilometres. In fact, correction, 808.2 kilometres. 8 considered the lucky number in Chinese. From what one of the locals has told me, it's a lot more expensive to get a phone number with lots of 8s in it here in China. Sheldon once again at the front. This group, as they get the information coming forward about their advantage continuing to grow, that will only inspire them to ride even more aggressively. Just a couple of kilometres still to go before they hit the second and final intermediate sprint for today's stage. The man in the white colours, Taylor Sheldon from Jelly Belly. He was second in the first of the intermediate sprints. Grosjean, the Slovenian, in the black and yellow colours. He finished in third position. The Canadian in blue, Cataford, he was the winner of that intermediate sprint. And the gap keeps on growing. This might be a case back in the main peloton with the St. George team playing the game of cat and mouse with the other teams of the sprinters and suggesting we can't do all the chasing on our own. We're prepared to let it go. This is the RTS team now making a move. RTS Moton Racing team. And the St. George team, they certainly have slowed down at the front. You can see the blue and fluoro colours of Wanty Group Goubert. They're answering the call to come to the head of the peloton. Perhaps they're looking to try and set up to reel in this breakaway group because they do have one of the favourites with Boris Valet. And they are contributing to the pacemaking. They've slotted themselves in a second and fourth position. So Wanty Group Goubert, they will start to do the chasing. That advantage for the leading group of 5 out to 1 minute and 22 seconds. It is getting dangerous.
Ouais. Bon, ça va. J'arriverai pas à lui filmer les trous de nez, mais c'est pas grave.
This is good news for St. George. Wanty Group Goubert, William Tristina, the two teams now coming to the front to assist with the chasing. And it also confirms that Marechko is up for the sprint finish despite the disappointment of yesterday's stage. Sending teammates up to the front, you can only assume that it's Marechko who will be the protected rider from that squad. This has been an important race in the career of Jakub Marechko, the bronze medalist from the Under-23 World Championships in 2016. This race has been a crucial opportunity for him to prove himself as a team leader. And next season, he leaves William Tristina and he goes across to the team that we'll know next year as Team CCC. This year, they're known as BMC. New sponsor for 2019 and a new sprinter in the house with Marechko. Cataford looking calm for the United Healthcare team. They've been the dominant force on the circuit in North America for the last 5+ years. And they've got great depth here in Taihu Lake as well. The team, they rode strongly yesterday. In fact, their worst performed rider was Velasquez, who finished at 38 seconds behind, which, given how quick Kennett was, is not a long way off the pace. It's Moncassin at the front of the peloton now for William Tristina, the young Frenchman, the 21-year-old. Stagiaire with the team at the back end of this season. The team testing out whether he's good enough to recruit for the next few years. Brand once again at the front in the navy blue colours. The international signal for I'm getting out of the way. It's your turn onto the front as Sam Brand firmly flicks the elbow. Matiš Grozjel now at the front, the Slovenian. The expression on his face has not changed for the past 30 kilometres. Not the kind of guy you want to play a game of poker with. Almost impossible to read the body language. One of the joys of the Jelly Belly team going to any race that they ride is we see Sheldon at the front of this breakaway group as he continues to try and drive home the advantage of this leading contingent of 5. The Jelly Belly team, they've always got product to be able to share with anybody who is on the race. They have some fascinating flavours as well that you wouldn't have thought you could put into a sweet lolly like a Jelly Belly. Or Jelly Bean. Almost became like the Kleenex of tissues there, Jelly Belly. And now that there's been a change at the front, with 2 new teams coming up to do the chasing, the advantage for the breakaway group has been reduced, but only ever so slightly. It's gone down just 5 seconds. From what was a maximum lead of 1 minute 22 seconds, it's now down to 1 minute and 17 seconds. I expect the St. George team will continue to contribute to the pacemaking. You see the rider now in 2nd position. That's the blue and white colours of the Israel Cycling Academy. So 4 teams now at the front assisting with the chasing. This is Moncassin at the front. His father, Frédéric Moncassin, famously won 2 stages of the Tour de France back in 1996. Moncassin, just 21 years of age. Hoping that he impresses the team and is able to step up and get a contract with that squad. And to make their way back across the Rainbow Bridge. And Kimbo Bridge, I should say. Left-hand turn up onto the bridge. If there was any wind really to wreak havoc with the peloton today, the Kimbo Bridge is one of those opportunities, but it's a perfectly calm day. As a tourist, the weather conditions are idyllic. Monte Group Goubert now on the front. The man who is now doing the pacemaking, this is Marco Minard. 141, the Ukrainian national champion that we see at the back of the peloton. This is Alexander Polividova. He's won the Ukrainian national title twice, obviously in 2018, given that he's currently wearing the jersey. He won that title also in 2016. But importantly in the context of this race, Polividova has been a 5-time stage winner at the Tour of Qinghai Lake. Opening up now for the intermediate sprint, Abdi Michael going early. Cadiford sitting the wheel and waiting patiently. There's the sign for the sprint on the right-hand side, which will give us the clear indication exactly how far to go to that sprint. Sheldon now makes his move on the left. Cadiford, he responds on the right. Grozjel has got the wheel. It is Cadiford proving to be the stronger. Grozjel, the young Slovenian, though, he comes out of the slipstream. He gets his nose in front. Cadiford trying to fight back, but it's Grozjel who collects the points and the 3-second time bonus. Read the sprint perfectly. Through the intermediate sprint, Matiš Grozjel collecting the maximum points and also the 3-second time bonus. Cadiford in the blue colours in 2nd position, so he collects another 2-second time bonus. That puts him now at 5 seconds away from the race lead of Dylan Kennett. It was then Sheldon in 3rd position, so a 1-second time bonus. This is significant. The Eritrean now rolling through to the front. This is Daniel Abdi Michael. At 21 years of age, the youngest rider in the breakaway, showing great maturity. Okay, you've had the battle for the intermediate sprint. Let's keep on working. We can hold this advantage to the finish. That is impressive. Sam Brand is also up to the challenge. Changing Diabetes, riding for Team Novo Nordisk. Canadian. Cataford might be a little bit disappointed that he got pipped in the intermediate sprint. Rogel collecting the maximum points. This is Sheldon. Empty Michael, the Eritrean rolling through. No surprises to see the Eritreans in the breakaway. Quite a few of their riders have gone through the UCI World Cycling Academy based in Switzerland. And there's been a fall back in the peloton as well. Quite a few of the riders in there in the fluoro colours of Willia Tristina. And they had many riders spaced up towards the front of the peloton. Certainly hoping that it's not Marechko and hoping that everybody else involved in the fall is okay. You can see the bike down there of the rider from Hong Kong who got the stage started yesterday. That was Liao, who was in fact Pak Hung-un, who was the first down the road yesterday. That's the rider that's off on the footpath with the bright fluoro bike. No impact on the breakaway, which is still holding on to an advantage of 1 minute and 13 seconds. Most significant in terms of what could happen at the back end of the stage was the fact that there were 2 riders involved in that fall from the Willia Tristina squad. And it looks like one rider from the RTS Moton team is just about to get himself back up off the road. Most of the riders look as if they could well be able to continue. Unfortunately, though, it looks like the Ukrainian national champion has gone down. The calmness of the Chinese culture, the Wu country having been founded here in Wuxi 300 BC, and it's also a fine combination with the modern technology that drives the local economy, but it certainly is a peaceful setting. Not so peaceful back in the main peloton. There's been a fall at the rear end of the group. It's caused a big reaction. Now, Willia Tristina, they have stopped with the chasing because of the fact that they had 2 riders involved in that crash. Here's a look back at the fall. Just trying to identify exactly the cause for that crash. Down towards the back of the peloton, and just a simple touch of wheels and then a bumping of the shoulders and then the domino effect happening after that. 2 riders involved from Willia Tristina, which has stopped them from doing the chasing at the front end of the peloton, which is good news for the breakaway. Reduces the horsepower to try and reel in that leading group of 5. And here they are. No doubt the news will be coming back through to this group. The 52, Sam Brand, he has not missed a beat. When he came across to the breakaway group, he communicated with them, hey, just give me a couple of minutes, I'll recuperate, and then I'll start working. Cataford, number 62 from United Healthcare, the Canadian. He's the best placed in the overall standings. Then Sheldon from Jelly Belly. Grosjean now rolling through to the front. He's picked up the 2nd of the intermediate sprints. And Habdi Michael of Eritrea has been proven to be super strong in this leading group of 5. This is at the back of the race. Riders involved in the fall. This is Lee from the RTS team. Ambulance is also on board. This is Yan from the Hainan squad. Judging by the way he's nursing that left hand, it doesn't look good for the collarbone. Yan looks as if, unfortunately, he will not be continuing. Breakaway now, for the first time in quite a while, have their advantage underneath the 1 minute mark. With just on 18.7 kilometres to go. Well, Wanty Group Goubert, they didn't have any of their riders involved in that fall, so they can't afford to wait for Willia Tristina to return to the front and assist with the chasing. They have to get on with the job at hand, which is precisely what they are doing. Israel Cycling Academy and St. George Cycling Team also doing plenty of the work at the front. beat of the drums and the tambourines, the sounds of the Tour of Taihu Lake, with the Israel Cycling Academy team at the front doing some damage to the breakaway. St. George also, and a new team now arriving at the front. This is Nippo Vini Fantini. Plenty of drama on stage one in the Tour of Taihu Lake. There's been a fall at the back of the peloton. The breakaway at 1 point out to lead of 1 minute 22 seconds. It's now been reduced significantly down to just 45 seconds. They might have held out some hope when it was out over that 120 mark. There were no real organisation of teams of the sprinters back in that main peloton. It was just the St. George team with the overall race leader Dylan Kennett doing the chasing. But even despite the crash and Willia Tristina no longer doing the chasing, this breakaway is seeing their advantage evaporate, and evaporate quickly. It is now very much advantage main peloton. Unfortunate news for the leaders. Nippo Vini Fantini, you can see in those navy blue colours now at the front of the race. And the riders from Willia Tristina now rejoining at the rear end of the peloton. But the number that is missing, there's no number 84, and that is the two-time winner of the race, Murechko. So the others, they're waiting at the back. Number 83, that is Turin. 85, that's Mosca, a rider that Murechko spoke about before the stage got underway as a man to watch. Giuseppe Fonzi is also there at the back, as is Max Moncassin, the Frenchman who was doing the pacemaking at the front just a few moments ago. St. George team still doing a lot of the chasing at the head of the peloton. 41 seconds now is the deficit for this main field on the breakaway group of 5. I wonder how this experience has been for the man in the orange jersey, the overall race leader, Dylan Kennett. He was told in March to prepare for this race with the opening prologue, and he prepared to perfection with a convincing win yesterday. Sure, it was only 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Ben Dybel, but it was a race of just 5.5 kilometres. Just on 16 kilometres still to go. They've been through the 2 intermediate sprints. Those points have been taken by the breakaway group. Significantly at the end of the stage, 10-second time bonus for the stage victory, 6 seconds for second place, 4 seconds for third place. Plenty of races in the past have been decided on those time bonuses, not only here in this race, but including some of the biggest races in the world, such as the Vuelta a España. Science and engineering driving the local economy here in Wuxi. They are leaders in research in both of these areas with the Academies of Science and Engineering for China based in Wuxi. It is one of the booming regions of the country. The race so far, it got off to a quick start. It didn't take long before we saw Li of the Beijing XTS team to launch the first attack. Then shortly after that, the rider that sits in third position in the general classification, Sergei Techkov of Romania, went off the front. Then breakaway group of 5 having formed, amongst them in the blue colours from United Healthcare, Cadiford, the Canadian, starting the day in 5th position overall. He won the opening intermediate sprint, collecting a 3-second time bonus, putting him within 7 seconds of the race leader's orange jersey. Sheldon went across the line in 2nd position, Grosjean in 3rd place. They then quickly got themselves organised once again, managed to build up a lead that went out to 1 minute 22 seconds. And as they approached the second intermediate sprint, Hadley Michael was the first to go from Eritrea. It was then Sheldon and Cadiford going shoulder to shoulder as they approached the finish line for the second intermediate sprint before they both got beaten by Maciej Grosjean, the 22 Slovenian, showing that although he hasn't won a professional bike race yet, it can't be too far away. They then settled back into their rhythm, but their advantage is continually being reduced. Back in the main peloton, there was a significant fall towards the rear end of the group. Most notably, 2 riders from Willia Tristina involved in that crash. Jakub Mareczko from that team, dual winner of the race and a winner of no less than 15 stages throughout his many appearances in the Tour of Taihu Lake. Also involved in that fall, unfortunately, the Ukrainian national champion, Alexander Polividova, from the Ninja Sports Lottery Laval team. Most of the riders, but not all the riders, remounting. Yan of the Hainan Lijun team looking to be the most seriously injured. We're now at 14 kilometres left to race in stage 1 of the Tour of Taihu Lake. The breakaway group of 5, unfortunately for them, now find themselves with a slender advantage of just 26 seconds. This is Daniel Habdi-Michael at the front for Eritrea. Next in line is Sam Brand from Novo Nordisk. A team that starts with just 4 riders on the squad. But they've made their presence felt early. From some of the earlier breakaways, they also had riders represented in those moves. But it's been Brand flying the flag throughout the majority of the stage. Habdi-Michael doing a long turn of pace at the front, more than prepared to do the work at the head of the breakaway group. Brand picks up the pace ever so slightly as he now rolls through to the front. I wonder what's going through the mind of Alexander Caduford sitting there in 2nd position. He's got a slight grimace on the face. So strong yesterday when he finished in 5th position in the opening prologue. He now has himself at just 5 seconds away from the overall race lead with the time bonuses that he has picked up so far. He's proven himself already this year to be a strong climber. He finished in 10th position overall at the Colorado Classic, which was only around about 6 or 7 weeks ago. So the form coming into this race is very good. For a lot of the riders, this is the final race of the season for them. And motivation is all important to be still strong come October or those late season races. And there's no question about the motivation of the men in this breakaway. Caduford of United Healthcare certainly amongst them. This is Sheldon now in the white colours of Jelly Belly. Fingers crossed for the Jelly Belly team that they are able to find a sponsor to replace their long-time sponsor. 18 seasons they've been in the peloton. They've been stalwarts of the domestic scene in the United States, but they're a team that is well-travelled. We've seen them in a lot of the races in Asia, also throughout Oceania, racing in both Australia and New Zealand. And for the first time in quite a while, we can get the breakaway and the peloton in the one shot from the helicopter. The advantage now down to just 18 seconds. The much anticipated bunch sprint finish looks like it could very well be on the cards. .16 seconds now the deficit for the peloton as we turn our attention back to the main group and who the stage winner might be, the sprinters to look for. Once, if you can see the white colours on the right-hand side of the screen, they have the distinctive yellow and red colours of the Eritreans coming around the outside. That's the Burgos BH team. They've been quiet so far. They've got Danny Lopez, the 24-year-old sprinter. He was a stage winner at the Tour of Qinghai Lake earlier on this year. Also had a 2nd place finish on a stage there as well. So they've ridden well in China throughout the season. They haven't spent any energy doing the chasing of the breakaway. They've just been waiting patiently. Nippo Vini Fantini, the team that is on the front. Emirio Cima, I suspect, will be the sprinter for that squad. A 20-year-old Italian who's just recently signed a 3-year contract with this team. Shows that the team has lots of faith in him. Marco Minard doing a lot of the chasing at the front now for the Wanty Group Goubert team. He's the man that's done a fair portion of the damage for that leading group of 5. You could see that water being sprayed out of a bidon just a moment ago. That was Dylan Kennett, the race leader, the man in the orange jersey. On a stage like this, the weight is not a really significant factor. That's psychological as much as it is anything else. This is Jesper de Ligt now, the big Dutchman on the front for Wanty Group Goubert. Sheldon, that brief look across the shoulder, not in search of the peloton to see what's happening behind him, but certainly inCycle is doing exactly that. The rider at the front from Eritrea, not quite as optimistic as they were 10 kilometres ago, but inCycle still prepared to try and drive it home against the odds. It has happened plenty of times in the past. There was a significant example this year in the Volta a España, where there was a breakaway group of just 3 riders. They never got an advantage of more than 2 minutes. They looked doomed. There was not a single climb on the stage. It was ideal for the sprinters. And although they got caught right on the line, and 2 of the survivors from that breakaway group of 3 finished in 1st and 2nd position, with the then world champion Peter Sagan in 3rd place. So although the advantage is just 18 seconds with a little under 10 kilometres to go, the odds against this group of surviving, well, they're enormous, but stranger things have happened. This is Nanchong Street that we're now getting a chance to take a look at. A very typical old village in the region with Changchong Bridge as well, part of the historical part of Wuxi. And now stage 1 of the Tour of Taihu Lake, the prologue yesterday being won by the Kiwi Dylan Kennett. They have the breakaway group of 5 within their sights. The maximum advantage for this contingent, it did at one point go out to 1 minute and 22 seconds. But as is always the bad news for the breakaway, those vehicles between them and the peloton are now being cleared out. So one of the race officials now zooming past. That's just to make sure that they don't provide any stepping stones for the peloton to be able to close it down on the breakaway any easier than they're already able to with their numerical advantage. Beautiful walking path off to the lake, off to the left, with the lake running through as well. Lots of the parks that you see here in China, they have exercise equipment as well. They put a really high premium on healthy living here in Wuxi. Also, after the prologue, managed to make our way past an athletics track, which was full of people jogging laps, some walking laps as well. Lots of people doing exercises in the park. Really looking forward to seeing the average speed at the end of today's stage. It was quick yesterday with more than 53 kilometres per hour being required to win the stage for Kennett. Speeds today looking as if they're on target for around about 48 kilometres per hour. Cataford now, he concedes that the breakaway group of 5 is no good to keep company with, so he tries to launch another attack. Grosjean responds quickly. The 22-year-old Slovenian in the black and yellow colours. He gets into the slipstream of the Canadian. And this will spell doom for the breakaway. Once they start attacking each other, they lose all their momentum. inCycle now is the next to go from Eritrea, not causing quite the response that Cataford did. Now Grosjean goes across. The man who won the 2nd of the intermediate sprints. Cataford also chasing it down. inCycle trying to get into the slipstream, but not quite able to do so. The team in the black-yellow colours, they used to be known as Attacker Gusto. It seemed like quite an appropriate name based on the way they race. They're always on the front foot, looking to get themselves in breakaways. If or once this breakaway does get caught, they're still in with a chance to win the stage with Ziga German. He was the winner earlier on this year of the under-23 Ghent-Wevelgem, one of the spring classics in Belgium, and a really good indicator that he has a super bright future. Ford, though, continues to try and drive it home. Still puts United Healthcare in a strong position. Their sprinter, Alzate, who was 3rd overall in this race last year. Colombian sprinter. He's in his 6th season with the squad, so the team, unquestionably, they have a lot of faith in the 35-year-old Colombian. This is the hospital, which is one of the prettiest looking hospitals you're ever likely to see. It almost looks like a residential area, and what better way to recover than in such beautiful surrounds. Here's the breakaway, now down to 3. Ford, Grosjean and inCycle. Well, these three doing all they can to try and defy the odds, and it's one of those moments where the peloton, they catch two and they figure, okay, we've got this under control, there's only 3 left out there, we can afford to start to think about the lead-out trains, and then it's that just moment of reprieve for the breakaway that gives them a chance, but it doesn't look like it's happening. You can see the peloton now swarming. It's not just that long single file train of riders working well together. The teams are now jostling for position to try and get themselves up at the front, and more so the chase of the breakaway. It's that fighting for positions at the front end of the peloton that is causing the advantage of the breakaway group of 3 to be dwindled down to just a handful of seconds. Daniel inCycle of Eritrea really has been impressive. The 21-year-old, he's not the youngest rider on that team. Jacob Debesay is at just 19 years of age, but it's a team with such great hope. And I like the fact that we have the Eritrean national team here. They're proving to deliver lots of quality riders to the World Tour level. Grosjean once again trying to attack. Ford is up to the challenge, though. And inCycle slowly being distanced, but not surrendering. Ford gets on terms with Grosjean. And now, once again, as we see lots of the spectators in eager anticipation for the finish of Stage 1 in the 9th edition of the Tour of Taihu Lake. Proudly waving the Chinese flags. They've got lots to cheer about. There are plenty of Chinese riders in this race as well. And they were the ones to get the racing underway with the first rider to attack today, Daohu Li of the Beijing XDS team. The breakaway now finally has been caught. So the race, for the first time since the opening 20 kilometres, is all back together. And it's the Colombians, Manzana Postobon, now coming to the front. They've been quiet so far, waiting for their moment to pounce. Milano is the man that they'll be looking after. He was the winner just recently of the Tour of China. There's 2 Tours of China. There's the Tour of China 1 and the Tour of China 2. He was the winner of the Tour of China 1. Unfortunately, he crashed in the Tour of China 2, so let's see how the injuries impact on his performance here in Taihu Lake. But the pink colours of Manzana Postobon making a big impression at the front of the peloton. And you can see the white off to the left-hand side. That is the Burgos team, and that is Gabriel Pons that is trying to do the pacemaking for them. He sits in 4th position. As we look back at Wuji, the 100-metre fountain also, that's the destination. They're closing in rapidly on the finish line inside the final 4 kilometres, just 3.7 Ks still to race. And now Willia Trestina making an impression on the left-hand side of the peloton, moving themselves towards the front. Marechko is the rider who is 3rd in line for that group. That is a good performance by the team after having been caught up in that fall. Burglas is the rider in the white colours, the only rider from Greece who was in this race. This is now Nathan Earl with the beard at the front for the Israel Cycling Academy. They're trying to set up for their Colombian sprinter, Edwin Avila. Avila rode really well yesterday also, showing that he's in good form. He was just 20 seconds off the pace on yesterday's stage. shooters now going through in the blue and white colours from the Israel Cycling Academy. Willia Tristina with those familiar bright yellow colours. Marechko with a little bit of a shoulder lean, pushing into the riders from the Wanted Group Goubert squad, approaching the kite with 1 kilometre to race. The pushing and shoving for positions at the front. Israel Cycling Academy, they've got themselves at the head of the peloton, but their sprinter, Avila, is off to the left. He's lost the lead-out train. He's got Heinor to do the job for him. Einhorn it is that is getting himself up towards the front with Avila. Now it's Wanty Group Goubert. They're looking for Boris Valet, one of the most experienced riders in the race. Pushing and shoving. Willia Tristina, they also have Marechko. He's well placed. He slots in a 4th position. They're jostling behind. The Burgos BH team, they've been pushed a little bit further back. They're missing the big lead-out train to try and make an impression on the race. Willia Tristina, full gas. Marechko is there on the white bike. The Gusto team, they're looking to do the lead-out for German. Now the big train down the outside. This is the Latvian now rolling through to the front. Now making the move, it is the Colombian sprinter, it's Elzate, along with another one of the Colombians. This time it's Milano in the pink colours. Milano with his nose in front, and it's Milano who gets it done. So the 2 Colombians going head-to-head at the front. It's celebration time for Manzano Postobon. And Milano gets the win. That's Lopez in the white colours. Elzate in blue congratulates his compatriots. And there he is, embracing with his teammates. The winner of Tour of China 1, crashing in Tour of China 2, winning in Taihu Lake. And all Colombians at the front in the sprint finish. In the blue colours, that's Elzate. A little bit difficult to tell on the angle that we had where Elzate finished on the stage. But certainly it was Juan Sebastian Milano who took out the stage victory. Such an important team for Colombian cycling. Last year they rode the Volta a España. They missed out on the wildcard invitation this year, but they nailed it on stage 1 of the Tour of Taihu Lake. A debrief in amongst the team. I'll be pretty happy with how things went. And Milano is a reasonably good climber as well. He should be able to contend with tomorrow's stage. This is the 100-metre fountain that we have in the middle of the Lihu Lake. So the average speed, 47.67 kilometres per hour. That is quick. In any race on any terrain, that is fast. 85 kilometres to stage, so relatively short. The light of Lihu Lake. Ideal conditions today for the sprinters, and Milano, the man who managed to get there first. Here's another look at the Postobon team. Barely noticeable throughout the whole stage. They waited patiently. Then squeezing up on the right-hand side, Milano, in fact, having to do pretty much all of the work himself. You're watching him make the little squeeze through the tiny gap there. He went up the inside of Avila, another one of the many Colombians in the race. Then got himself up onto the wheel of Elzate in the blue colours. And then sweeping around the outside, Milano taking the win. And it looked like Borglas in second position with a little bit of frustration. Another look at the head-on sprint finish. Convincing winner in the end, really. There's Lopez in white with a shake of the head from the Burgos BH team. Didn't get a lot of team support throughout the stage either. his teammates were there or thereabouts, but not delivering him to the front end of the group. Well, Milano, he was one of the contenders for stage honours, but he wasn't one of the absolute big favourites for the stage. It'll be intriguing to see further down the list. Two of the riders that were finishing in around about sort of 8th to 12th position, as it looks as if a few of the pre-stage favourites got caught up in quite a bit of the heavy traffic coming in towards the finish line. And much of that caused by how safe the finish was in many respects. That gives more opportunities for riders to be able to work their way forward. Number 44 in the dark blue colours that you can see rolling back towards the team tent from Nippo Vini Fantini. That's Hayato Okamoto. He's one of the riders that is a stagiaire with the team at this year's Tour of Taihu Lake. A chance for him to try and impress Milano, the stage winner.
Sergio, a fantastic result for the team today with your teammate winning the stage today. Yeah, how's the feeling right now in the team?
Yes, they're all very happy because today is a good job for the whole team. In this fantastic race today because the team have the man very fast, Sebastian Molano. It's a man very fast and the whole team work for he. And the final is the hard because more speed the whole day in the race. The whole very happy for this victory today.
And there'll be more opportunities for more stage wins coming up because the stages are quite similar, flat and fast.
Yeah, yes. It's the 85 kilometers. They're very fast because it's the stage very fast. It's amazing for the team this victory.
Congratulations. Go and enjoy it with the boys.
Thank you so much.
The camera helicopter needs to land.
Good to hear from one of the teammates of today's stage winner, Juan Sebastian Milano. That on the occasion was the teammate Higuita, Sergio Andreas Higuita, doing the spokesperson role for the team. I can only assume that Juan Sebastian Milano doesn't speak English, so he put Sergio forward to be the spokesperson for the winner of today's stage. Understandably delighted with the stage victory. The terrain tomorrow may well suit the Colombians even more so than what it did today. And you heard from Sergio also talking about how quick the stage was, 85 kilometres, effectively pancake flat. That strong breakaway group of 5, average speed of more than 47.5 kilometres per hour. Continuing a really good season for Milano. As I mentioned earlier on, he was the winner just recently of the Tour of China 1. So the Manzana Postobon team travelled well throughout Asia in season 2018. And you will have also noticed that they're wearing Hencapi clothing. So Hencapi, the clothing company of George Hencapi, the former American cyclist who rode the Tour de France 17 times. His father was Colombian, so he's got a strong affinity with the Colombian riders, and he is the clothing supplier for that team. This is Shuali that you can see doing some stretching from the Beijing XDS team. It was that team that launched the first attack on today's stage, and it was Dao Hu Li who was the first to launch an attack in this year's race from that squad, making their intentions felt very early on. Some of the riders caught up in that earlier crash that we saw today, fortunately making it way through to the finish line. Fingers crossed that they are okay. And two of the riders from the Qinghai team involved in that fall. 3 riders, in fact 4 riders here from the Giant Racing team making their way back into the team pits. There's the Willia Trestina team, the fluoro colours, debriefing on what just happened, what went right, and more importantly today, what went wrong. And just saw the orange jersey of the race leader, Dylan Kennett, rolling through. He is still the overall race leader. The Eritreans also debriefing on what happened for them today. Made their impact on the race today, the Eritreans, particularly with Daniel Habdi Michael in the move. A strong breakaway group of 5 riders that at one point got themselves out to an advantage of 1 minute and 22 seconds. The beautiful blossom trees, the backdrops of Wuji, the host of the opening stage of the Tour of Taihu Lake. It has been the central point for this race since its inception in 2010. And of course, tea is ever popular in China. Beautiful mixture of the old culture, which has been well captured, and also the newer. Look back at the last kilometre. The Willia Trestina team, at this point, they looked poised, well positioned. So too the Wanty Group Goubert team. United Healthcare in the navy blue colours, they got a little bit lost in the traffic. Elzate did the sprinting himself. And the pink colours of the Manzana Postobon team, they didn't look particularly well coordinated either. Milano, he found his own train on the left-hand side, squeezed his way through. The rider on the white bike, that's Merechko, 15-time stage winner in the race. And as this train is moving forward, Milano was with them in the pink colours. This is Elzate in the blue, who was the first to really bust open. As he got his nose momentarily in front, it was Borglas that was sitting on his wheel, the Greek sprinter in the white colours. But Milano came clear at the end and won comfortably. An impressive performance by Milano, continuing his good season in 2018.
The camera helicopter needs to land as soon as possible.
And Milano still just 23 years of age. Still one of the younger riders in the race. And you just got a chance there to take a look at the average speed for the stage. Just under 48 kilometres per hour. So Milano getting the stage victory ahead of Borglas in second position. It was then Lopez in third, followed by Jean in fourth. Para Arias was in fifth. And Elzate in sixth, followed by Tesfezonion of Eritrea. Bonifacio was in ninth. Bonifacio in eighth. Debesay was in ninth. And Chima in 10th. So the Eritreans with 2 riders inside the top 10, I suggest that was part of that big conversation that we saw back in the Team 10. No good having 2 of us in the top 10 if we're not leading each other out. Let's get better organised for tomorrow, and then we'll be able to have an impact. The top 10 overall, a couple of changes inside the top 5 in terms of the order. It's still Dylan Kennett who leads, 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Ben Dybel, followed by Alexander Cataford from being in the breakaway, picking up time bonuses, now moves to just 5 seconds behind. And he leapfrogs his teammate Sergei Techkov, who's in 4th position. It's then Ben Wolf rounding out the top 5. And this is the best young rider classification. Cormac McGough, he still leads ahead of Remy Rochard in second position. It's then Ryan Kavanagh in third. Chima is in fourth. Fuentes in 5th place. And it's still Liu of China who wears the red jersey as the leader of the Chinese classification, with Zhan, who was top 5 finisher today in second. The riders getting themselves all prepared to make the transfer off to the next hotel. Many of them will just do a little bit of a ride to spin the lactic acid out of the legs, recuperate. 85 kilometres, not a particularly long stage for riders of this calibre, but a very explosive stage. And with the speed at almost 48 kilometres per hour, there'll be a bit to get out of the system. The Lubezhania Gusto team in the black and yellow colours. They had one of their riders in the breakaway throughout today's stage. That was Maciej Grozzel, who finished in third place in the opening intermediate sprint, and he won the second intermediate sprint. And the young Slovenian looked to be very strong in that breakaway group. Nippo Vinifantini, that had Emirio Cima, finish inside the top 10. Let's now head down to Marichko.
With Jakob Marechko, yeah, how was the day out there today for you?
So it's a very bad day. So in the sprint, there was in front many riders that didn't do the sprint after. So it's very difficult.
And just looking forward, tomorrow's a very difficult day. But do you think that sprint stages in the future are for you?
I don't know. Tomorrow we see what happens.
Oh, best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, the body language told us as much of the stories as what the words did from Jakob Marechko. Very disappointed and not interested in talking about tomorrow. He still wants to head back to the team and debrief with them on what happened today. Effectively, he got caught in traffic. The team wasn't well enough organised. In their defence, they had to try and return after that crash that happened with around about 25-30 kilometres to go. That put them on the back foot, and then they weren't really able to string that peloton out and really get rid of the non-sprinters.
The condition was good. I had some mechanic problem at the start of the race. Thankfully, I got back in time and didn't lose time. And overall today was good. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
And looking at tomorrow, do you know the stage? I mean, it's a climb, doing a circuit twice. What are you expecting?
It's a hilly road. I think there will be many attacks, and I have rode the stage tomorrow once before, and it will be a very hard stage tomorrow. So hopefully I can keep the jersey.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
The leader of the Chinese classification, looking forward to tomorrow's stage. He has ridden the course plenty of times in the past. He certainly did ride it last year in the Tour of Taihu Lake, but it's in a different part in terms of where it sits in the overall tour. This time around it's on day 3, the second stage. Last year it was stage 7, the final day, so 7 days of racing the legs. It was the 8th stage. Fatigue, a major factor. This is Milano, winner of the stage. Signing the paperwork, also with the anti-doping, no doubt. Making sure that everything is in order. And the recovery drink as well. Doesn't speak English, hence we heard from his teammate, Sergio Andreas Igueta, after the stage finish, and the team very pleased with the outcome. So they should be. You can't do better than win. Let's now head down to Alexander Cataford from United Healthcare.
Alex Cataford, what was the talk in the team meeting this morning? Was the plan to get in the break?
I mean, yeah, for the time bonuses, because it's a pretty flat sprint race, so every second counts. The prologue, the time's really tight, and so I was 5th overall starting the day and finished 3rd overall, so it's good for this week. You know, race like this, every second really does count.
And the gap got to a maximum time of 1 minute 22. We saw you talking to the sports director in the car there. Did you have some hope that it could, stay away?
I didn't think so at first, but then when we got to 15K to go, I think we still had about 50 seconds, and then I was thinking maybe if we ride hard, but the pack had a lot of speed, and especially those last 10 kilometers, so, that's typically how these days go, but it was good to get out there and get the intermediate sprints.
Just going forward, you've obviously got some speed in the legs. What's the objective?
I mean, we're here to win stages and do good on GC, so, for me and Sergey to try and get some time and move up the podium, and then we have a couple sprinters here, Eric Marcotte and Carlos Alzate for the sprints, so that's really the plan for this week.
Well done.
Thank you.
Importantly for Cataford, it was a successful day. Sure, the breakaway did not succeed in terms of making it all the way to the finish and disputing for stage honours. He didn't feature in the top 10 at the end of the stage, but as he said, this is a race that's often decided with time bonuses. He got himself in the breakaway. He won the first intermediate sprint, got a 3-second time bonus. Finished second in the second intermediate sprint, got a 2-second time bonus. So he's gone from 10 seconds behind the lead of Kennett to just 5 seconds behind. Tomorrow is a stage with 2 climbs at the back end of the stage. It's a slightly longer stage as well at 130 kilometres. In fact, it's the second longest stage of the race. So that gives him an opportunity to perhaps get the lead off the shoulders of Dylan Kennett. Cataford is in a very good spot. So too is the entire team. United Healthcare can be very pleased with their day. The only rider from that team that might be a fraction disappointed is Carlos Elizate. The race got underway at 10 o'clock local time under idyllic conditions. The temperatures in the mid-20s, hardly a breath of wind, a little humid, but no room for complaints from the riders. Breakaway group of 5 got formed fairly early on. Cataford in the blue colours of United Healthcare driving force in that group. So too Sam Brand of the Novo Nordisk team. He was the last rider to join the group, and as soon as he did, he just said, I've just joined, give me a couple of minutes, once I recuperate, I'll contribute. The first intermediate sprint, and the Canadian from United Healthcare, Alexander Cataford, he took the points in the race for the green jersey, he took the time bonus. It was then Sheldon of Jelly Belly in second spot, followed by Grugel of Ljubljana Gusto, who was in third. At the next sprints, it was Sheldon in white, who tried to go early, but Cataford was wise to it. He was not caught by surprise. But Grugel, in the black and yellow colours, he picked his man, he was in the slipstream, he waited patiently, and he came off the wheel. He collected the points in the race for the green jersey and took the maximum time bonus of 3 seconds. For the Canadian in blue, Cataford, significantly, second place, a 2-second time bonus. And that is what enabled him to move from 5th place at the start of the stage up to 3rd place overall. This, at just inside 20 kilometres to go, was one of the most significant moments of the stage. A fall, you can just spot it down towards the bottom of the screen. 2 riders from Willia Trestina caught up in that fall. Presentation's now underway. In the middle of the podium, the stage winner, that is Juan Sebastian Molano. First up, though, it is Danny Lopez in 3rd position on the stage. Spanish sprinter from Burgos BH. This is Georges Burglas, who rides for the Ninja Sports Lottery Laval, one of the Chinese teams. So good to see one of the Chinese teams on the podium with 2nd place on the stage today. And Juan Sebastian Molano from Manzana Postobon collecting the stage honours. Manzana Postobon team has been growing significantly over the past few years. Last year, they managed to get a wildcard invitation to the Volta a España, and they didn't win a stage, but they made a big impact on the race. Molano, the winner, ahead of Burglas, and then Lopez in 3rd. And the internationalisation of the sport, Colombia, Greece and Spain in the top 3 places on the podium in a race in China, with a New Zealander as the overall race leader. This really is a global race, showing Taihu Lake to the rest of the world. Next up will be the orange jersey presented to the overall race leader.
After stage 1, Dylan Kennett from St. George Continental Team.
Dylan Kennett about to make his way out onto the podium. The winner of the opening prologue yesterday, with a blistering average speed yesterday, 53 kilometres per hour, has managed to defend his overall race lead. And the St. George Continental Cycling Team, they did a lot of work throughout today's stage to defend his position at the top of the general classification. Didn't feature inside the top 10 on the stage today, but he was perched up towards the front of the peloton as they approached the sprint finish. Team manager Brett Dutton has said that the one challenge they have with Dylan Kennett is peloton craft, being able to ride position within the group. Not so much the getting through the corners, but that negotiating when you're doing 50+ kilometres per hour. We saw a bit of shoulder rubbing with Marechko. He was trying to nudge his way in on one of the lead trains or defend his own position. That's the challenge for Kennett to get accustomed to. Been a big target for the season for Dylan Kennett. Tomorrow will be a big challenge for him. If he can survive tomorrow's stage with the 2 climbs at the back end of the day, Kennett just might be a chance to become the first New Zealander to win this race.
下面颁发的是上汽斯柯达绿色领旗衫，绿衫的冲雨是冲刺王的象征，山雨是冲刺之王，水雨。
The team should be pleased with how they performed. They did take responsibility for defending that orange jersey. They were hoping they could let a weak breakaway go and have others do the chasing. It was not a weak breakaway today. That was a strong contingent of 5 riders who were off the fronts.
Now we will present the green jersey, which represents the leader of the points classification. The winner of the green jersey after stage 1, Juan Sebastian Molano.
Now the green jersey for the points classification, and it's the winner of the stage, Juan Sebastian Molano.
接下来有请颁奖嘉宾江苏省体育局群众体育处处长熊伟先生和南京国盛丰体育文化有限公司副总经理刘昌先生为获奖运动员颁奖。
And based on what we've seen today, this is a jersey that Molano is capable of defending. He started the day at 50 seconds down in the general classification in the race for the orange jersey, but given the time bonus, that now moves him to 40 seconds behind. And he's already proven his ability to win tours in China so far this year. I suspect that he won't have too many problems with the climb tomorrow. So not only the green jersey being a target for Molano, he'll also be looking to try and wrestle the orange jersey off the shoulders of the overall race leader, Dylan Kennett.
接下来颁发的是宁祥航空蓝色领旗衫，蓝衫代表。
The team rode with such poise and confidence. They did not contribute to any of the chasing of the breakaway, saved all their resources for the final few kilometres. And although it wasn't the most coordinated of lead-outs, they got it right when it mattered. And Molano fed well off the other sprinters in the race. Next up is the blue jersey for the best young rider.
Congratulations to the winner of the blue jersey after stage 1, Cormac McGill from Team Jelly Belly, presented by
Cormac McGough of the Jelly Belly team. The 22-year-old Irishman in his first season with this team. Rode incredibly strongly yesterday, finishing just 17 seconds off the stage winner, Dylan Kennett. And the first of the riders who was under the age of 25 as of the 1st of January this year. He looks like an experienced campaigner up on the podium, as if he's a regular up there, taking it all in his stride. He's yet to win a race at the professional level. He had a near miss this year in the Tour of Taihu when he finished in 3rd position on one of the stages. He's just 22 years of age. And with the form that he's shown in the opening 2 days of racing here, that first big win can't be far off. He does have some swagger.
接下来颁发的是森蒂克红色领旗衫，红衫代表大中华最佳车手，山雨是中华之巅独领风骚。 获得南京银行2018第9届环太湖国际公路
Autograph time for Molano, the stage winner, the wearer of the green jersey.
红衫的运动员是刘允佑，
The jersey that he's wearing now, that's a ceremonial jersey. He'll get one specifically made for tomorrow.
Represents the best rider from the Greater China region. Congratulations to the winner of the red jersey after stage 1, Liu Wenyou from Hong Kong, China.
Liu Wenyou, the leader of the best Greater China rider, so he gets a red jersey. There's 32 riders eligible for this classification, so it's a competitive classification. And he rode well yesterday, just 31 seconds off the pace of the stage winner Kennett's. And he's looking forward to tomorrow's stage, the challenge of the couple of climbs to come. He was also very helpful after the stage yesterday. In fact, when some of the Chinese journalists were trying to do an interview with Ben Dybel, who sits in second position overall, Liao assisted with doing the translation of both the questions and the responses. It was fabulous to see.
好，接下来有请颁奖嘉宾与运动员合影留念。
He rides for the team from Hong Kong.
有请嘉宾稍事休息，请运动员退场。接下来颁发的是感动奖，获得南京
Red jersey steps down off the podium.
国际公路自行车赛。
Looking forward to stage 2 tomorrow, the second longest of the race, 130.6 kilometres. The stage tomorrow gets underway in Zhurong, makes its way through to Moshan. It is a stage that has 2 significant climbs at the back end of the stage. The challenge will be for Dylan Kennett, can he defend the orange jersey? Milano, the winner of the stage today, he'll be one of the big challengers. Join us tomorrow for more from the Tour of Taihu Lake.
有请颁奖嘉宾无锡士兵胡青元。
浙江省体育竞赛管理中心副主任潘华婷共同为赛事发家。
女士们、先生们，南京银行2018第9届环太湖国际公路自行车赛上汽斯柯达无锡滨湖绕圈赛的比赛已经开始了。本赛段为绕圈赛段，总里程85千米。让我们。
好，
我们那个是机动。
知道吧？
它购物大结节这一款。
啊，要行吗？Maintenant.通知卡呢？通知卡没给我。对。哦，那你跟着他就行。对。OK。加在这上面。对。然后让他们接着该采访采访。Thank you.
Sergio, a fantastic result for the team today with your teammate winning the stage today. Yeah, how's the feeling right now in the team?
Yes, they're all very happy because today is a good job for the whole team. In this fantastic race today because the team have the man very fast, Sebastian Molano. It's a man very fast and the whole team work for he. And the final is the hard because more speed the whole day in the race. I'm whole very happy for this victory today.
And there'll be more opportunities for more stage wins coming up because the stages are quite similar, flat and fast.
Yeah, yes. It's 85 kilometers. They're very fast because it's the stage very fast. It's amazing for the team this victory.
Congratulations. Go and enjoy it with the boys.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the top riders of Stage 1, Daniel Lopez, Georgian Spoglas, and Juan Sebastian Molano.
谢谢颁奖嘉宾，请嘉宾稍事休息，再次。 祝贺获得前3名的运动员。下面颁发的是南京银行橙色领旗衫，橙衫代表个人总成绩最高荣誉，山语是一骑绝尘，至高无上。获得南京银行2018第9届环太湖。